Turn that volume up. You know you want it. It's time for Women's Basketball TV with former NCAA champion, WNBA champion, business mogul, and national TV personality, Fran Harris.
A'ja Wilson is a generational talent. We have no one like her in the WNBA.
Bringing you entertaining, on-point analysis.
Did LSU just win the national championship?
Tea and inside scoop on the sport you love.
NIL is going crazy. All I'm saying is if they're making $5 million as a student athlete, can't they pay for their own college? I mean, I'm just asking. It's just a question.
Let's get it.
What's up, good people? Happy March Madness. Hope your teams are still in the mix. My Final Four teams are intact. My bracket was perfect. Flawless. Until Baylor lost to Virginia Tech. I'm not going to lie. I was pulling for the Big 12 because that's where Texas plays. But when you're doing your bracket, you have to actually advance people that you believe are going to win. And I did not think Baylor was going to beat Virginia Tech. A lot of respect for Baylor. A lot of respect for Nikki and what she's done at Baylor since she's gotten there. But I'm going to keep it a buck always. I thought Virginia Tech was going to win that game. Hence why I chose Virginia Tech. Up until that point, every single decision, every single selection I made was boom. Since then, of course, I did not select Utah as losing. Utah lost. OU lost. Who else lost? Yeah, those are my other teams that lost. OU lost to Indy, and then Utah lost to Gonzaga. But everything else on the other side, everything was, okay. So I'm excited, first of all, hook 'em, that Texas is in the Sweet 16, especially given the fact that they lost an All-American in Rory Harmon. Nobody thought that was going to happen. Maybe their coach, maybe their staff, maybe the players, all of them thought that, which they need to think that. But I think anybody watching Texas from the outside, as well as Madison Booker had played, as well as they had completely overcome the loss of Rory Harmon to that ACL, I don't think anybody predicted that Texas was going to have the season that it had, win the Big 12 without Rory, and then be advancing to the Sweet 16. Based on what I see when I lurk in my groups, my sports groups, nobody thought that. And the better Texas got as the season progressed, I was like, okay, all right, Texas might be able to do this. Okay, then they did that. I was like, oh, okay, Texas might be able to do that. And they did that. So shout out to my home team, Texas Longhorns, who are headed to Portland for the Sweet 16s. Any other surprises that y'all had? Not surprised by South Carolina. They are looking like an amazing team that's on a mission. Let me tell you something. South Carolina's biggest motivation, number one, is what they do internally, and that is stick together and love each other and support each other. But when you lose at a juncture in the tournament that even shocks you, you are so motivated to do it the next year. And I think that's part of the motivation for South Carolina is you get there. They got there in 2023. They get knocked out by Iowa. And as much as Dawn Staley is a great sport, she's a highly competitive coach who was a former superstar in the college game. So Dawn's extremely competitive, and I can guarantee you she doesn't care who she beats to get to the crown, but she also hasn't forgotten what happened last year. You never do. If you're a competitor, you're always thinking about the one that got away, which, by the way, I have a video series, an interview series that is dropping for the rest of the tournament on a feature that I did with some former some of them are former WNBA players. Most of them are former NCAA players, called The One That Got Away. So make sure you check that out. Look through the documentaries on my playlist and check out The One That Got Away. But I digress. Dawn has not forgotten. The players, any players who were on that team last year, they have not forgotten. It drives you. You may not talk about it. You may not even admit it publicly. But when you lose at a juncture in the tournament that you shouldn't have lost in, somebody snuck up on you, somebody, whatever, they played better, whatever the situation was, it doesn't even matter. You never forget it. You never forget it. So, looking forward to seeing the South Carolina Gamecocks on a mission. They are obviously the best team in women's college basketball, but right now it's anybody's game. So everybody's going to have to play at the level that they need to play at to advance to the level where they believe they should be. And right now, I believe, barring South Carolina, and again, a fluke, because I do believe, as well as Iowa played last year, nobody thought that was going to happen. With Caitlin Clark, nobody thought that was going to happen because it was South Carolina, and they are that much better than everybody else. But I say this from being on both sides of that coin. It's anybody's game. Anybody can win this thing. So we got the Sweet 16. I think I'm going to do a series video called How You Beat Them. Because again, as I say, if it's anybody's game, then that means anybody can be beaten. So I think I'll start doing a video series on how you beat South Carolina, how you beat Notre Dame, how you beat LSU, how you beat Iowa. Yeah. And while it may appear that, it's very obvious to beat Iowa, you have to stop Caitlin Clark. Has anybody ever stopped Caitlin Clark? I have a whole theory about why nobody's ever stopped Caitlin Clark. Can Caitlin Clark be neutralized? Absolutely. We'll talk about that in the series. All right, anyway, let's talk about this Sweet 16. These matchups real quickly. South Carolina and we'll be facing, who is this? Indy. That's going to be interesting. Those are two great coaches. We got Nebraska facing, not Nebraska, we got Oregon State, my bad, facing Notre Dame. Notre Dame's playing really, really well right now. Neil Ivey has them on all 12 cylinders. Forget 6 cylinders, 12 cylinders. Texas facing Gonzaga. There's some Texas connections there with the twins on the Gonzaga team who played in Houston for a Texas Longhorn, either at her high school or at Erica Rout's in her club team situation. NC State and Stanford, I love this matchup because those teams cannot be more different. I love the NC State Stanford matchup. On the other side, Iowa and CU. I mean, CU, Colorado, that is, they've surprised people all year. They haven't been great all year, but they're super competitive, and there's something to be said about a team that's sometimes undersized. They are not the most skilled when it comes to pure basketball skills, but man, they're competitive. So that's going to be a good matchup. LSU, UCLA, I believe this is one of the top 2 matchups in the Sweet 16. I have half my friends I polled who are picking UCLA to win that, and half of them are picking LSU to win. So we'll see. USC and Baylor, I don't know. That's a good one as well. But I love the UConn-Duke one. That's probably my second favorite matchup. UConn and Duke should be a good one. Again, I polled some friends, half of them choosing UConn, who, as y'all heard, the coach say, Gino Auriemma say that he has the best player in the country. Okay. And Duke, Carol Lawson, great out of Tennessee, great coach out of the University of Tennessee, played for Pat Head. Summit. These are some great matchups. This has been a legendary year, women's basketball, college basketball, and I'm excited to see what happens. I will be in Albany. For those of you who will be there, say hi. Say hey. I'm speaking in Albany at some kind of fan event, I think. So if you're out there, wave. Let me know where you are, and I might try to fly over to Portland so I can catch the Texas Longhorns, or I may just come back to Texas and watch it on television. I haven't decided yet. Anyway, hope y'all are having a great day wherever you are. Who was your biggest surprise leading up to the Sweet 16 in terms of the defeat or victory? Who was the biggest surprise for you? Who was the team that you did not think would have gotten as far as they got? And then who are the teams that you definitely didn't think was going to be beaten and not make it to the Sweet 16? All right, so stay tuned for the How You Beat 'Em series. It's going to start here today, later this afternoon. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to Women's Basketball TV with Fran Harris, the most provocative and entertaining women's basketball show on earth. Be sure to click that like, share, and notification button so you don't miss a moment. We'll see you tomorrow.